Sports fans, this is going to be my first tool review because I bought this because I ran into a situation where I needed it. I always wanted a hole saw kit, and they're always so expensive. And I got this from Harbor Freight. Now, years and years ago, like back in the 80s, Harbor Freight, they just had the crummiest stuff in the world. But I've heard so many positive reviews on Harbor Freight stuff. I thought I'd take a chance at this. If this can drill holes in steel, in mild steel, I will be very, very happy with it. It was cost about 35, 36 bucks, something like that, and I figured I'd take a chance. I mean, the Milwaukee hole saw kits, I mean, they're just outrageously expensive. I can't justify it. I don't use it enough to justify buying a hole saw kit, but it sure is expensive enough buying them one at a time, you know, each time you need to make a certain size hole. So I bought this this kit here, and let's see how it works. Well, it does come with its own plastic case, which is kind of cool, and there's a number of different hole saws here, and they got some directions here. If I can't figure out how to use it, I'll read them. This is the mandrel. It's got this drill bit on it, and it's got these retractable pins here, which will go into your hole saw. When you screw this collar down, you'll see these pins start to come through. You see them coming through there? Kind of cool. They're spring-loaded. When you back them off, they come out. So that's easy enough to use. So what you do is you select the hole saw size you need, and you just screw that right on. Screw the mandrel. The hole saw is threaded. You screw it right in there. Simple enough, and you make sure that there's 4 holes in the hole saw. You got to make sure those align with those pins. And you don't have to screw this hole saw on tight. All you got to do is make sure the pins line up, and then you turn this collar in to get those pins to go through the holes in the hole saw. And then you can see, you probably can't see it on camera, but you can see when you look at it that those pins go through those holes, those black pins go through those holes on the white hole saw. I'm sure we're going to need plenty of cutting oil. This is going through 3/8 steel here, so it is going to be the ultimate test of this hole saw. If it can cut through this, I'm going to say it's a great product. Let's find out what happens. There we go. There we go. We got her done. So, part 1, the first part, whatever you want to say, was a success. This Harbor Freight hole saw was able to cut a hole through 3/8 steel. Now, will it be able to cut more? That's the question. But it was certainly a success for that part. Now let's take a look and see how our Harbor Freight hole saw did. I don't think you could ask it to do any better, could you? That's through 3/8 steel. Okay? I don't think most people are ever going to have to cut a hole in steel that thick. I'm going to call that a success. Particularly, I'll get some lighter gauge sheet metal, and we'll see if that Harbor Freight hole saw can still cut. You know, if it maintained a sharp enough edge to be used again, I'm going to give this Harbor Freight hole saw kit a thumbs up. All right, Sports fans, there's the plug that Harbor Freight hole saw cut through. Pretty impressive. Now, if this hole saw is still sharp enough where it's even useful, where I can even cut through a piece of sheet metal, I'm gonna say it's a good deal. All right, I'm just gonna quick weld this piece of sheet metal to my sacrificial table. All right, I got that piece of sheet metal welded on there good enough to hold it while I do my drilling operation, and we will see if this Harbor Freight hole saw is good enough to pass our test here. We cut a hole through 3/8 steel. If this is good enough, it's still sharp enough to do any cutting at all, we'll call her good. Drill cuts through, now let's see if the hole's all good. Now, as far as the hole saw is concerned, I drilled through 3/8 steel with this thing, okay? And I still able to cut. Did you see how fast that cut through the sheet metal? Most people, that's the only thing they're ever going to cut is sheet metal with a hole saw, okay? And I just went through something that thick right before I cut through this sheet metal, and it went through that sheet metal like that hole saw was brand new. So I'm going to give this Harbor Freight hole saw kit a big thumbs up, because how many people even try to do that with a hole saw? Went through 3/8 steel, and then we went through some sheet metal like a hot knife through butter. At $36, you can't beat the Harbor Freight hole saw kit. So it's got my strong recommendation. Okay, well there you have it for the Harbor Freight hole saw kit. It passed the test. It did it as everything I could ever wanted to do. You know, we cut out that plug out of 3/8 steel with that. And after we did that, a job that most people would never even think of doing with the hole saw, after we did that, we cut out this plug out of this sheet metal, and it only took seconds. It went through like a hot knife through butter. Now, I did use plenty of cutting oil when I did the job, but after all that cutting, these teeth remain sharp enough to do what most people are ever going to want to do with one of these hole saws. Like I say, $36 is worth every single penny. If you liked what you saw here, I hope you give me a thumbs up. You know, like, share, subscribe, do everything it takes to make this the #1 channel on YouTube. And until next time, we'll see you here on the Fix Yourself channel.